Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As I was about to tell today's video, we're here to rank all the finishing badges in NBA 2K23 for Season 2. So I hope y'all enjoy. If you do, for the drop a like, sub if you're new to noties. Good stuff, and like always, try to 2,000 likes. Appreciate if you guys are watching this too. It's a classic on the channel. We've done this for literally years now, and I really do appreciate the fact that you guys come to me for the expertise on the badges and stuff like that. And while some of my opinions may be biased toward my playstyle, I try and stay indifferent as far as all that stuff goes, and really just rank the power of the badge. And that's what we're here to talk about in today's video. So let's get straight into this. As you can see, the text color is going to indicate the Season 1 ranking. So in Season 1, I had Post Spin Technician as the only D tier. We had all of these green ones in the C, all the yellow ones in the B, orange in the A, and the one S tier was only Pro Touch. Now this will be changing quite a bit. Like I told you guys in the Season 1 videos and stuff like that, this is going to be so static as far as the change. I mean, we have so many things to talk about. Bully is probably the lowest mover as far as like going down by quite a bit. And I would say Post Spin Technician is probably the biggest gainer. But all of this included, there's a lot to update you guys on if you come to me for the expertise on this, because a lot of these were literally 8 days into the game. This is literally me on my early impressions and just giving you guys my feedback as far as what I thought from the game early on, where this is now changed by quite a bit. So let's get straight into this. We're going to go from bottom to top and just rank the badge at the bottom and put it where it now belongs. So to start us off, we have Post Spin Technician. Like I told you guys, it's going to be the biggest gainer. This is now, in my opinion, an A tier badge. I have seen so many people who come out here on 2v2 or 1v1, and granted, this is more of a 2v2 and 1v1 badge. It's for post scores, but what makes them so unstoppable is the fact that they can obviously bang those hooks. So Pro Touch will still be pretty high on this list, but the problem is when they're greening those hooks like crazy, you have to body up on them. You have to play close, because there's no way you can contest those hooks unless you jump at them. But obviously, it's a little bit hard to contest the hooks without being really bodied up on them, so you can be close to them as they fade away from you on the hook. So when you are bodied up close to them, the Post Spin Technician goes absolutely crazy at just destroying you for playing high on a post score. And those two things paired together, and that marriage that you have right there between the hooks being very makeable when they're open and the post spins destroying you when you play tight on a post score, really does give this badge so much value. I think it's probably the best post scoring badge in the game, next to Pro Touch obviously, but this has multi-use to it, so that gives it a little bit of a gain as well. But anyway, that is my impression on the Post Spin Technician. What I had as the worst finishing badge in all of the game is now an A tier, so that just goes to show you how little those Season 1 tier lists even mean as far as the impressions on it. Some of them will be accurate information, but for the most part, like I said, it's 8 days into the game that I'm giving that, and now we have a lot of updates to have here. Alright, next up we have Fearless Finisher, moving up from the C tier to the B tier. This is a badge that really is quite the bailout in my opinion. It's really good at helping you make contested layups, myself included. When I go for the contact dunk meter, this is the badge that pops up every single time that I get kicked out of it. And I still make those layups when I get kicked out of the dunks for this specific badge's reason, where, like I said, it really just helps you make contested layups, helps you conserve energy on the layups as well. It's a great badge. I highly recommend it for anybody that's out there as a slasher. Whether you're a contact dunking dude, like I said, it really is a bailout for those times that you do get kicked out of the dunks, or if you're just someone that holds your X button, or if you're just literally someone that constantly spams layups. Fearless Finisher paired with Giant Slayer as a small guard is going to be a really nice pair as well for just making those contested layups. Again though, for most of the small guards out there, like the stage meta for the 6'1s to 6'3s and stuff like that, a lot of people do have the quick drops and they're very hard to get kicked out of the dunks on. But when you do, like I said, these two badges will go crazy. So to talk about Giant Slayer, we have it staying in the C tier. I don't think this is a dominant badge. I know some people will talk about, oh, but I make crazy contested layups on bigs in the rec and stuff like that. The truth is, it's not that consistent. I know I've been there. I've played with a 6'9 for that matter too, and I still defend the interior pretty solid. Now, maybe that's to talk about the power of Giant Slayer, and maybe the people that are taller than me can't defend the small guards as good as I can, but I know for a fact this badge is not the broken thing that a lot of people think it is. Honestly, if you're a small guard that doesn't have very good driving dunk, you probably don't belong in the paint too often, but like I said, for those people that are, obviously it's a huge benefit to your game. I think Giant Slayer obviously varies in its like overall use. If you're like a 6'1" guard that has no dunk, obviously this is probably more of like an A tier badge for you, maybe a B, because like I said, I don't think the power of this badge is as great as some people will give it credit for. Ironically, you may be misplacing your credit into Fearless Finisher, to be honest with you, because obviously if you have Giant Slayer, you can also have Fearless Finisher. They're both tied to your driving layup rating, especially in, like I said, being a small guard. You likely are running both of them. So I think your credit may be misplaced a little bit into Fearless Finisher when you talk about stuff like that, but nonetheless, like I said, still a very good badge for small point guards out there. The general player base of this game, though, is probably around 6'8" to 6'9", maybe some 6'7s mixed in there, and then maybe some bigs. There are still small guards. I am going to make a video pretty soon talking about how I think they're still like madly underrated as well, but the general player base isn't one. But anyway, like I said, pretty mid badge if you ask me. I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's like horrible either. And obviously it is horrible if you're a taller player, but that's aside from the point. But anyway, moving along, we have Aerial Wizard. This is going to be the lowest rated finishing badge that I have in today's video. I'm choosing not to put anything in the E tier or F tier. Nothing is useless in this game, especially when it comes to these finishing badges. Maybe that'll vary a little bit as far as the shooting, playmaking, and defense goes. But for finishing, Aerial Wizard is probably the worst finishing badge, and it's still decent at the end of the day. Now, this depends on your style quite a bit. If you're a heavy pick and roller, or maybe you're doing something like what I was doing in the mobile event where you have to catch lobs to get those my points, this is the time where Aerial Wizard is pretty useful. It does still help you get contested lobs as far as the contact lobs and stuff like that, or just in general to help open your make window as well. But obviously some people's issue with this badge is that it's also tied to your putback dunks, and you have no ability to even get putback dunks in this game. It's just something that happens so rarely. I think I saw one person maybe like mention me on Twitter talking about how they got a putback dunk, but other than that, I think it's been a very rare thing in this game. So Aerial Wizard doesn't even tie into that, even though it says it does. So that's just even more proof that you can't always believe what you're told when it comes to these badges, because this talks about helping your putback dunks. Fearless Finisher doesn't talk about helping you on dunking, but in my opinion it may as well, but that's a little bit of a rumor, so to say, or myth. But anyway, again, to come back to Aerial Wizard, I believe this badge is solid, but I don't want to spend too much time talking on it. It's literally just to help you make alley-oops. It's as simple as that. If you're someone who's a pick and roller, I recommend it on a decent level, and if you can get it for cheap on a guard build, or maybe someone who's spotting up corner, I wouldn't hate it either. Generally, it's a tier 1 for people that are about smaller than 6'7", I believe. I think anything above that, though, is like tier 2. Like for my 6'9", I think it's tier 2. So it's a little bit of a tough badge to run in that situation, but I still run it even on Hall of Fame when I'm running as a strictly big man. Alright, so next up we have 3 badges, 2 of them staying in the C tier and 1 dropping down from B to C. We have Backdown Punisher, Acrobat, and Dropstepper. We'll just go in order. So for Backdown Punisher, I believe this is a little bit of an overrated finishing badge, but I didn't want to knock it down to the D. I think it's a little too disrespectful. It's still useful. I didn't think it warranted any move up to the B tier though, where this in my opinion is just kind of a brain dead badge. I think you can still move people very capably even without it, if you ask me, and I don't think it really is the end all be all of your build when you're post scoring. Generally, you can still post spin people, you can still back them down with no backdown punisher like I said, and the only people who are going to resist your backdowns are ones that have brick wall, in my opinion. Post move lockdown doesn't have anything to do with this, so in my opinion, I just don't think you even need backdown punisher to do the type of stuff that you would want to in the post. The only people that maybe need this are the ones that are big drop step heavy players, and in my opinion that style is a little bit outdated. I do it myself on that 1v1 court with the 90 standing dunk and elite contact dunks for the bigs and stuff like that, and it's very hard to do that on people that have good interior defense. For the ones that have very bad defense though, it's still very usable, 100%. You can put people in the blender with this backdown punisher drop stepper combo, but like I said, I don't even think you need it to be able to do stuff like that. So to talk about Dropstepper, because it's in kind of unison with the Backdown Punisher, Dropstepper is definitely still a decent badge. It's not horrible. I just will say, I think that you could definitely put badge points into a better area if you're someone who's doing type of stuff like that. Like there's so many different things you could utilize as far as being an interior finishing build. Between Fearless Finisher helping you make contested layups, that also includes close shots as well, so this even helps a little bit more. Post Spin Technician also still doing really good things for you as a post scorer as well. Dream Shake if you're an outside post scorer that has some post hook game to you. You even still have things like Fast Twitch, even a little bit of Limitless Takeoff is convenient if you have dunking on the build. Other things like Posterizer that can help you get standing contact dunks, Masher as well, Pro Touch being a really good badge if you have layup timing on, or just for the post hooks as well. It's all a way better situation than to run Dropstepper. But I do understand there are some of you guys out there that are really tall bigs, or maybe even 7-footers, 6'11s that have those standing contact dunks like I have on that 1v1 build, and maybe you do utilize these pretty well, or just really consistently as well. But in my opinion, when you run into people that have good post lockdown or really good ability to like defend the interior, just in general off pogo stick, whatever the case may be, when you do a drop step, you are committing to going up for that take, or to no longer be able to dribble, maneuver, move anywhere in the post. Once you do that drop step, you have picked up your dribble, and now from that point forward, you can either only pump fake or dunk. That's strictly it. And in my opinion, it's a little bit limiting. So I just have Dropstepper moving down from B to C. It's still very good at stunning people, I do agree. Same with post takeover is as well, but it's just not the effectiveness or overpoweredness that I think warrants being in the B tier. Alright, so next up with Acrobat, I want to tell you guys, this is another badge that I don't think you should listen to the game as far as what it tells you it does. Now, it does tell you that it obviously helps you with the switch up layups, like where you do the acrobatic things, where you kind of switch the ball hand midair and stuff like that. And not to mention, that is kind of broken. I think the mechanic itself is a little bit more broken than Acrobat badge just in general, because I will say it negates contest like crazy to do stuff like that. So this is once again where I don't want to misplace the crediting of what really helps you do stuff like that, because I don't think it's Acrobat. I think it's just the acrobatic layup mechanic itself. But what I do like Acrobat for is the fact that it helps you on gathers when it comes to layups, like on the hop lays, the spin lays, the Euro lays, all types of stuff like that. Now here's again what I'm talking about. 2K says that it helps you on layup gathers like that. But how are you to determine whether the gather is a layup or a dunk? Because obviously you can go into a gather as a layup and then boom, hold your RT and turn it into a dunk. In my opinion, this absolutely helps you when it comes to like doing those hop dunks, the spin dunks, the Euro dunks, all types of stuff like that. So if you want to put Acrobat in the B tier, absolutely feel free to. I would definitely still warrant this as the #1 C tier badge that I have in this video. It's absolutely the best one compared to Giant Slayer, Backdown, Punisher, Dropstepper, and the one other badge that we're going to put in here as well. But I just didn't think it was on the level of these B tier ones. So just keep that in mind. It's the #1 C tier badge in my video, but just didn't think it warranted being in the B. Alright, so for the next two badges, we have Rise Up and Dream Shake, both staying in the B tier. They both obviously deal with bigs as well. So Rise Up, obviously including your standing dunks. Now this helps you get standing contact dunks on top of that. Now when you pair Rise Up with Posterizer, if you're a tall like 6'11 big man that maybe has really good driving dunk and still has really good standing dunk, because we'll talk about this when we get to Posterizer, but you need to have driving dunk to have poster. It doesn't any longer give you like Posterizer off having standing dunk. So you have to have good driving and good standing to be a big that can actually get crazy amounts of standing contact dunks, because you need that Posterizer and you also need the fast twitch and you need the Rise Up as well. So when all that is put together, you really can standing contact dunk the mess out of people. I'm so serious. It was a really brain dead thing I was doing on that 1v1 build with 90 standing dunk, 93 driving dunk, and gold poster, gold Rise Up, all types of stuff like that. Hall of Fame fast twitch. It was unbelievable. And I really do recommend the more dunk packages you have, the better you will get those standing contact dunks as well. I had that in mind last year, and it definitely translates to this year as well. I'm a huge fan also of Rise Up, just helping you get standing dunks on, for instance, my 6'8" build that only has 45 standing dunk, has 2 standing dunk packages, but because I'm 6'8", I get Rise Up in tier 1 for only 1 badge point, and it's so valuable. I really do recommend on any build that you're maybe a tall build or something like that, that you at least have 45 standing dunk and bronze Rise Up. It's a huge budget. It's so useful. Moving on to Dream Shake, post score related badge. This is more for outside post scores or people that do post hooks, post fades, post hops, stuff like that. And I gotta say, my boy SK, he really utilizes this badge to an elite level. Same with Tonic when he's on the 7'3" post score. SK, however, is on a 7-foot post score that has really good mid range and still runs Dream Shake as one of the finishing badges. So if you're an outside oriented post scorer, Dream Shake is probably one of the best finishing badges you could put on, because obviously you don't need it to do anything as far as like doing drop steps and stuff like that, but it still benefits your little like shimmy fades or like the little fake shoulder shrugs, so to say, whatever they're called. I'm sorry if I'm giving the wrong word. But when you do those shoulder fakes, it's going to boost your ability to make fades, hooks, anything like that. And I highly do recommend it as far as any post scores. Not to mention, you can really just get people to bite on stuff anyway off the shoulder fakes or off the shimmy fades especially. Then you even talk about up and unders. Dream Shake still works for that too. It's very, very good for the finesse post score out there. Now, like I said, this is probably a very niche thing. I think people will probably hate on me for putting Giant Slayer in the C tier, even though obviously I have Dream Shake in the B tier, yet they both only deal with very niche things. Giant Slayer being small guards, Dream Shake being only post scores. And it's tough to say, but you can make the same case for post spin technician. It's just tough. I'm more so going on the power of the badge overall, in my opinion, than a little bit playing into the factor of how often do people use this, how often they even use a build that will even utilize it as well. So a little bit tough to gauge sometimes, but I do have Dream Shake staying in the B tier. It's probably the worst B tier badge that we have. I think that and Acrobat are kind of on the same level as far as like being very close to each other. It's just this one is kind of the bottom of B, Acrobat to the top of C. Alright, so next up we have Limitless Takeoff, moving up from the B tier to the A tier. This is going to be a badge that obviously helps you unlock dunks from further away than you would normally get even without it on. Now, the confusion with this badge that I even still have to this day is that people cannot get the good quick drops animations unless they have silver. However, they don't get any progress toward coring the badge. for doing quick drops. So, and the quick drops like never activate Limitless Takeoff either. Yet they can't do it when the badge isn't activated. So it's a little bit of a ghost effect in my opinion. People still need this to be able to do the best animations for quick drops. Not to mention this badge goes further than that, obviously, while unlocking better dunk animations with other ones like the LeBron, the Dominique Wilkins, all type of stuff like that, Russell Westbrook, whatever you want to make the case for as the best actual dunk package. Then like uber athletic tomahawks off one, whatever the case may be. But then on top of that too, I think it unlocks better contact dunk animations and lets you just dunk from further away. Now, what I also hated on this badge from season 1, however, is that I don't think it's very easy to get that dunk meter to activate unless you're a little bit close to the hoop. So I think that it gives you better, more athletic dunks when you have Limitless Takeoff on, but anything past like silver or gold for the dunk meter specifically is very hard to use because like if you have Hall of Fame, I'm gonna be honest with you, you can't start that dunk meter from anywhere besides inside the free throw line. You can't really activate it from like super far away because it's just the latency and kind of the response of doing it. You have to flick up, then hold down. All that obviously still plays a factor, and the further you do it away from, you'll just end up doing a crossover and a step back if you do it from way too far away. So I'm not a huge fan of running Limitless Takeoff on a super high level. Like, I don't think I really want to make a build that has Hall of Fame just because I am an avid dunk meter user. But if you are someone that uses your X button dunks, I think it could really go a long ways. Not to mention, like I said too, really good for unlocking the best animations for quick drops. So definitely a badge that warrants being in the A tier now. Alright, so next up we have Fast Twitch moving down from the A tier to the B tier. Still a very good badge. Obviously, if it's in the B tier, it's definitely worth running. But in general, I think this is a little bit like overrated, so to say. I think that Pogo Stick is really good to combat it. I think it's very hard to even compete with Pogo Stick, whether you have Hall of Fame Fast Twitch as someone's even silver Pogo. I just think in general, Pogo is really good compared to Fast Twitch. And then in general too, I think pump fake spamming isn't quite as good as it was in last year's game, and I think that's kind of inflated a couple people's ego as far as how much they really want to make tall bigs that do spam those pump fakes and do the mashing. In Pro-Am, you've seen that go a little bit out of style, however, it's still being done. It's just, I don't think Fast Twitch is the end-all be-all of it. I think, really, you need to be able to dunk the ball a whole lot more, and Fast Twitch is still good for doing that. I just think that as far as the pump fake spamming, mashing, kind of brain dead stuff like that, it's definitely a lot easier to defend in this year's game, especially if you have good positioning too. Hands up defense still gets the job done in my opinion. Just in general, I think Fast Twitch is still a very good badge. I just think it needed to be dropped down a little bit from A tier to B tier because it does not belong with any of these A tier badges we're going to be talking about in today's video. So I think it's a pretty self-explanatory way of talking about it. Very quick, nice little analysis, but don't want to spend too much time talking about it. So yeah, we'll just cut it short right there. Anyway, to talk about Bully, the next badge, I have this moving all the way down from A tier to C tier. This is a badge that is very rarely activated, if you ask me, even in the situation where I've seen a lot of people talk about Bear the Beast as far as like activating the badge and intentionally doing it. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't think it's worth the badge points. I think you can still easily do like Euro dunks, Euro lays, hop dunks, hop lays, whatever the case may be, with no bully. I've done it myself. I've been doing it like crazy, and I really do think Acrobat is the more comp way of using that type of mechanic for a much cheaper like badge spread. Like obviously Acrobat for most people is a tier 1 compared to Bully being a tier 3 in most situations. So that's literally a severe drop in badge cost. And we don't even talk about that with the tier list like stuff. Obviously for most builds, like I said, you have things like Bully that are extremely expensive, Acrobat that's extremely cheap. Giant Slayer for some builds may be extremely cheap and useful for running too. You also might even have some situations where someone wants to run Bronze Dropstepper and for only 1 badge point, even if you only have 0 post control. It's just, it depends on your build, obviously. You know, obviously the badge tiering as far as how much it costs you can definitely sway your opinion as far as whether it's an A tier or a B tier or a C tier. Like I said, I'm just talking about the power of the badge. And when you combine the fact that it's 5 badge points to run even on Bronze in the tier 3, combining that with the fact that it's just not even that good, in my opinion, and hard to activate, I think it's just a bad badge overall. So I have it moving down from the A tier to the C tier. I haven't even ran this myself all year because once again, the value of it is just way too bad. And then from anybody I've seen, anybody I've played against, it's not really that overpowered if you ask me. You can still prevent yourself from getting put into animations like this by playing good defense. And even when you do get it, it's pretty rare throughout the whole course of a game. So I'm just not a huge fan of the badge, personally. Alright, next up we have Posterizer, staying in the A tier. This is obviously a great badge to run as a slasher, great badge to run as a tall slasher who maybe, like I said, is going to have good standing dunk, good driving dunk, because again, this is going to be really, really good for the people who have those undersized bigs, the 6'10", 6'11" and stuff like that, that get the big man standing contact dunks. However, you can still get great driving dunk to get your rise up and your posterizer both on a high level. Whereas the 7.2s and 7.3s, they only get posterizer on bronze. Like even a 7.2 max wingspan only gets 84 driving dunk, which you need 85 to get silver poster. So even if you are 7.2 with great standing dunk and all types of stuff like that, you are only going to get poster on bronze. Simple as that. So 7.1 and below can get silver posterizer. I believe 7 foot and below can get gold posterizer. So when you are 7 foot and below, or 7 foot, 6'11", 6'10", you can get posterizer and rise up both on like literally gold. I think it's crazy to be able to have stuff like that with great vertical. I think it's a really good build if you are going to go with a big man. 6'10", 6'11", 7 footers. I love those heights as far as being a really good undersized big compared to the super tall bigs, but still being really athletic, really good at grabbing rebounds, and really good at interior defending. So let's talk about posterizer. Other than that, we obviously have the contact dunk meter. The higher your posterizer, the better you get more dunks. You don't get kicked out of dunks as much for having higher posterizer as well. I don't believe poster expands your dunk meter. I don't think it makes it any bigger. I'll tell you guys that much. But from my personal experience, I've seen videos from Toots as well, and neither really indicate that poster really expands your dunk meter at all. But like I said, just helps you get put into dunk animations better and helps you stop from getting kicked out of them as much as well. And for me, like I said, for the dunk meter, it really, really is rare that I get kicked out of the dunk in general. And when I do, Fearless Finisher goes hard too. So great badges between those two. All right, so for our first S tier badge, we have Slithery coming in. And this is going to be probably the best badge in the game, if you ask me. Now, this is why I say it's a little bit hard to like maybe gauge the posterizer, because Slithery also puts you in way more dunks. It glides around people, stops you from getting kicked out of them as well. I think they both kind of compound in that aspect as well. Just keep that in mind. So if you're a slasher, this is your big three right here. Slithery, Limitless Takeoff, Posterizer. I honestly believe you can make a build that only gets these 3 finishing badges and still be fine. I think after that though, your accessory ones would definitely be Fearless Finisher, and then after that is a little bit suspect, maybe Acrobat, debatably, but other than that, I'm gonna be honest, I think you can get away with running just those 3 badges. So on top of the fact that you glide past people as far as getting more dunks with Slithery, I want to talk about how you just actually get put into animations where people don't make contact with you more on Slithery as well. It's a great finishing badge. If you are someone that does X button dunks or just in general anything like that, I think Slithery is a must-have for you. For me, it's a little bit less useful because like I said with that dunk meter, it's generally something where you just need the contact dunk to activate. You don't need to glide past someone and kick them out of an animation from even getting a block on you, because the dunk meter kind of invites the contact dunk, so to say. Whereas Slithery is going to avoid getting that contact dunk and just put you into a non-contact a little bit more. And I believe, like I said, Posterizer is what allows you to get into those contact dunks more and prevent you from getting kicked out of them. So it's definitely hard to judge when it comes to slashing stuff, but that's at least my best interpretation on how to explain it to you guys. Alright, so for our last 2 badges in the video, we have Pro Touch and Masher. Now Masher, low-key, actually is making just as much of a drop as Bully. Masher going down from A to C, Pro Touch going down from S to A. So let's talk about Masher first. My opinion, this is the real problem with this badge. You have to be significantly taller than someone for it to be useful or activate, and in this game, generally, people are running 6'9s all over the place, and if you are maybe a build that actually deals with interior finishing, you're probably around 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. If you're anything taller than that, I do understand that is your one benefit to actually having Masher, is that you will dominate those 6'9s and 6'10s and stuff like that with it. But man, this badge is extremely overrated, in my opinion. These 2 right here, probably the most overrated badges in the whole game, if you ask me. Masher, once again, not really doing a whole lot, if you ask me, as far as helping you make contested finishes either. And I don't have enough experience with it either, because any builds that come out here at 7'2", 7'3", they generally are just going to finish over you good anyway. So I'm not a huge fan of the badge in the first place. I think they really did a good job at kind of nerfing it a little bit, but to be fair, the only big nerf to it is just that the general player base is taller than they were in the past. So it's hard to say, man. I really don't know, because again, I don't really see a whole lot of pro-am centers coming out here at 7'3 anymore or 7'2 anymore. The general pro-am consensus, so to say, is probably around 7 foot to 6'11, and then even for rec, I see a lot more 7 footers and 6'11s than I ever did in the past, like as far as last year's game being constant 7'3s. So it's just hard to say, man, because like I said, I don't think those 6'11s and 7 footers even gain that much benefit of Masher when it comes to like going at those other 6'9s and stuff like that. And again, I just think you can protect yourself good with jump contest. You can still play hands-up defense in this game pretty well. I know a lot of people disagree with my takes on that too, but I can tell you from my personal experience, I have 74 interior defense and 81 block rating on a 6'9 build. I don't struggle to defend the interior at all compared to what I feel like I should. I mean, I only have bronze anchor on that build too. It's kind of crazy, and I just do think positioning matters a whole lot more in this game than people give it credit for. So that's my take on that. As far as the other badge that we have dropping from the S tier, this one's going to be going to A, like we said, with the Pro Touch. This is something that I probably just gave a lot more credit when the post hooking was super OP. I think Pro Touch being A is probably right where it belongs, maybe B. I think this is probably a low A tier badge at this current point in the game. Not a lot of people activate their layup timing, and me included. I don't think it's worth it for me to do it. For the people that actually don't have dunk though, I highly suggest for you to put this on. I think it's fire. I think you can really afford to like just get slightlies on stuff too, and it heavily increases your ability to make stuff. I think 2K Labs did a video as well about how well-timed layups really do affect the ability to make your layups, and when you combine Pro Touch with that, it really can be crazy. Not to mention, if you do things like scoops, if you do things like floaters, if you do anything like that, or the Euros, I highly suggest to run Pro Touch, Acrobat, maybe some Giant Slayer, definitely some Fearless Finisher. If you are just a layup guy, the best badges you could run are probably Pro Touch and Fearless Finisher. I think Acrobat being mixed in there is really nice, and then depending on your height, Giant Slayer can also play a pretty good factor as far as doing stuff like that. But anyway, that's kind of just my 2 cents on that. I think this is still very good for post hooks as well, just to keep that in mind, but it's not the same level of S tier that it was before the patch or anything like that, and like I said, only 8 days into the game. So just keep all that in mind. But anyway, that's all for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, for the drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on noties, all that good stuff. Like always, try to win 2,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put slash or put finish or put post in the comment search, puts me all the way through. And if you want to leave some feedback, feel free to. Obviously, we're like plenty accepting of people giving their opinions and stuff like that in here. I know the biggest advocators are definitely the people that talk about the Giant Slayer and the Acrobat. I highly understand there are some people out there that go really hard for their playstyle of that no dunk, high layup situation. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've never been a huge fan of it. I don't think it's that great. I do have a build that only has 50 dunk, and I can still dunk the ball at 50, and it's still very effective. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that style, but again, feel free to still let your words be spoken. Feel free to let your voice be heard, and feel free to leave your feedback in comments. But anyway, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And that, Teddy's man. Peace.